Hey, it's Levi, and welcome to the Circle of Influence module. Before we get too far, let's be sure to understand precisely what your circle of influence is and why it's so important. Your circle of influence is a comprehensive list of all people and relationships that you have a connection to. In other words, it's the pool of your potential backers. And the reason it's so important to accurately assess your circle of influence is that the number one reason for crowdfunding failure, choosing the wrong goal amount, is directly related to your circle of influence. Did you get that? This module is going to help you avoid the primary reason almost half of all music crowdfunding projects fail. I mean, you don't want to end up having 24 people pledge $2,581 when your goal was $5,000, or having 121 people pledge $5,216 when your goal was $20,000. Not only is this a public embarrassment, but it's a big hit to your ego. After all, this can make you feel like you don't have much worth to your fans and that nobody really cares. This is the stuff your worst dreams are made of, and it's totally avoidable. By starting with your circle of influence, you will do two very important things. First, you'll be able to set your goal amount based on a specific real-world understanding of the people most likely to back your project. And second, having these people in mind will help you to craft a project that those most likely to back your project can relate to and will want to participate in. In this module, I'm going to show you how to take inventory of every person you have any type of connection to. In the next module, we'll estimate your fundraising ability based on this inventory list. In the last module, you'll use this inventory list to systematically roll out your campaign to your people. To help you understand why nailing down your circle of influence is paramount to your project's success, let's pretend like you're planning a party. Not just any party, though. This party has to be off the hook. You want people to not only show up in droves, but you want it to be the talk of the town for months to come. Step one is to understand what determines your party's success. It's highly dependent on who you invite. You have to invite people. They don't just show up. You've got the rave lights, the world-famous DJ, the PBR on tap, tons of free parking. This party is going to be epic. Are you willing to bet the famous DJ's $15,000 appearance fee on other people spreading the word about your party? The answer? Hell no. You need to invite a ton of people. Not just any people, though. You want to invite people who are most likely to actually show up and pay the $15 cover. It's not how many people, but how many of the right people you invite, which leads us to step two. Think of your circle of influence like a wedding invite list. A wedding goer's feeling of obligation comes in different tiers. If you're a parent, a grandparent, a brother or a sister, or a best friend of the bride or groom, no excuse will get you out of going to that wedding. If you're a cousin, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, or a coworker, this pull is very strong, but an illness or super important previous engagement can get you off the hook. When putting your invite list together, these inner circle types of people are solid gold. Not only are they obligated to you, especially if they get a very personal in-person invite, but they're the people who want to see you succeed. It means the most to them that you're following your dreams and making a bold move. Now let's take a look at the ever-important 6 categories of influence. They all have one thing in common. Every person listed in these categories has a personal connection to you or a personal connection to the project you're trying to create. If a person from one of these 6 categories backs your project, it's because they feel obligated, they want you to succeed, or the project personally connects with them, or some combination of these 3. Your circle of influence is broken into 6 categories that will each require a different channel of communication and perhaps a different style of communication. Number 1 is your inner circle. Family, close friends, turbo fans you'd call on the phone or send a personal email to. Number 2 is your intermediate circle. People you wouldn't call on the phone but would think of as friends, extended family, or turbo fans who deserve a more personal connection than just an email list communication. These are people who follow your personal Facebook profile, for example, who you'd email one-on-one through Facebook, perhaps. Number 3 is your fan email list, not to be confused with your Gmail contacts. This is your actual artist mailing list. Number 4 is your Facebook fans or other social media followers who you'll reach through status and promoted updates. Number 5 are your personal networks, like other email lists you have a connection to or causes you have a connection to. Some examples are another band's email list, former employers or coworkers, clubs, teams, or groups you have a connection to. And finally, number 6 is blogs, radio, TV, and newspaper, like scheduled on-air radio interviews or TV morning shows or being featured in blogs or newspaper articles. Now that you have a full understanding of your circle of influence and why it's so important for your crowdfunding success, download the worksheet and begin adding individual names to your list. You may get the majority of the names written down in your first sitting, but you'll undoubtedly think of more in the coming days. Take the time you need in order to make the most complete list possible. Don't leave anyone off of your wedding invite list. Remember, this list is the foundation of your successful campaign. Don't estimate. Write these names down individually. In the next module, we'll actually plug your circle of influence numbers into the Crowdfunder 3000 to find out what your minimum goal needs to be. In Module 6, you will use this list almost exclusively to launch your campaign. Can I make it any more obvious that you need to do the work to make this list right now? Watch the interview with Tony Polcastro to see how taking this step seriously led him to raise $9,500 without fans, without Facebook, and without a mailing list.